The ice cracked under the weight of the drilling machine. Laura Bennett stood near the edge, watching as steam rose from the hole. The wind was strong, and snow blew into her face, but she didn't look away. Her team had been in Antarctica for 3 months, and they had found something strange under the ice. "Keep going," Laura said into her radio dot. Kyle Grant nodded from the control cabin. He was the lead engineer and trusted Laura's judgment. He pressed a few buttons, and the drill pushed deeper. The sound was loud and steady. A moment later, the ground shook. "Stop the drill," Kyle shouted. Everyone froze. Laura ran to the edge of the hole and looked down. She could see something shiny. It wasn't rock. It wasn't ice. "What is that?" she asked. One of the scientists, Megan, leaned over and stared into the hole. "It looks like metal." Kyle climbed down with the light. He scraped some ice off the surface. It was smooth and silver, and it didn't look damaged even after thousands of years. "It's not from Earth," he said softly. Laura nodded, called the base. "We need help." Within days, more people arrived. A large team of researchers, engineers, and soldiers came to the site. They set up lights and tents and began working round the clock. They used heat tools to melt the ice without hurting the object below. As more of the object was uncovered, the team saw that it wasn't just a part of something. It was huge. It stretched far below the ice, like a giant ship buried long ago. Kyle stood with Laura one night, looking over the massive structure. "It's not a spaceship," he said. "It's a city that can fly." Laura didn't reply. She was thinking. The object was too big, too perfect. She had a strange feeling that it was waiting, not broken, not forgotten, just asleep. A week later, they found a way inside. There was a round door hidden under layers of ice. Kyle used a laser cutter to open it. The metal hissed and moved on its own. Inside, the walls glowed with soft blue lights. The air was clean. The room was silent, but not dead. It felt alive. Laura stepped in first. Her boots echoed on the floor. There were symbols on the walls, strange but somehow familiar. "It's like it knows we're here," Kyle said. They moved deeper into the ship. They found rooms full of machines, walls lined with glowing panels, and screens that turned on when Laura walked past. One screen showed a map of Earth, another showed the stars. Then a voice filled the room. "Welcome," it said. "Command recognized. Human presence confirmed." Everyone froze. "What did it say?" Megan asked. Laura looked at the screen. It had a new message. "Systems in sleep mode. Awaiting activation." "It responded to me," Laura whispered. The team ran tests. They found that the ship responded only to Laura. Her DNA matched something in its system. They tested her again and again. There was no mistake. The ship recognized her. News spread quickly. Governments sent experts. The United Nations formed a special group to study the ship. They named it Horizon. Soon they found more like it. One was hidden under the sands of the Sahara. Another deep in the Pacific Ocean. A third inside a mountain in South America. All were huge. All were asleep. All were waiting. Laura stayed with Horizon. She felt connected to it. It showed her things, images of the past, great wars in space, a planet burning, ships flying in formation, people who looked like humans, but older, stronger, wiser. These ships were built to protect, she told Kyle one night. But protect from what? No one knew, not yet. Kyle worked on the engine room. The ship's power core was still active. It used a type of energy they had never seen before. But when Kyle touched the control panel, it lit up. Lights filled the room. The floor vibrated gently. "The ship is waking up," he said. Back at the surface, the ice around Horizon began to melt. The ship's systems created heat and light. Animals ran from the area. The sky above changed color. Something deep in the ship sent a pulse into space. "Was that a signal?" Megan asked. "Yes," Laura said. "We didn't just find this ship. We turned it on. And now, someone out there knows." The team watched the stars. For the first time, Earth had more questions than answers. Horizon was not just a discovery. It was a warning, a key, and maybe a weapon. Laura looked up at the night sky. "Something is coming," she said, and the galaxy had just been told that humanity was ready. The cold wind blew across the ice, but the area around the ship felt warm. The horizon was no longer just a discovery, it was awake. Lights ran along its surface, and soft sounds came from deep inside. Laura Bennett stood near the open entrance, watching workers move in and out. She felt the change in the air. Something big was beginning. Inside the ship, Kyle Grant checked the main systems. He had a team of engineers and scientists working beside him. The ship's control panels now worked with human hands. They had learned how to turn on lights, open doors, and move through different levels. What they still did not understand was how it all worked. "The ship seems to learn from us," Kyle said. "Every day, it gets easier to control." Laura nodded. She had noticed it too. When she walked into a room, the ship reacted. The walls lit up. Screens came to life. It was like the ship knew her. One evening, she stood in front of the command screen. Her hand moved over the symbols, and the screen showed her a large map of space. She saw stars and planets. Some of them had names. Others were marked in red. "These red marks," she said to Megan, "I think they are places where something bad happened." Megan leaned in and studied the map. Maybe battles, maybe warnings. As the days passed, they unlocked more parts of Horizon. There was a room with strange suits. Each one was tall and strong-looking. They looked like armor, but also more than that. The suits were made for someone human-like, but taller and broader. Kyle touched one of the suits. It opened. Inside, it was empty. But when Laura stepped closer, it gave off a soft hum. "It wants to be used," Kyle said. But they did not wear the suits. Not yet. They needed to understand more. The ship had a main power room deep inside. It glowed with blue light. At the center was a large spinning core. It floated in the air and moved without touching anything. It gave energy to the whole ship. Kyle stood with his team and stared at the core. This power could run a whole city, or even a planet. "We still don't know how safe it is," Laura said. They worked carefully. They studied, took notes, and shared their findings with the Special World Team formed by the United Nations. Experts from every part of the world came to see Horizon. They came with questions. They came with fear. "Why were these ships on Earth?" one leader asked. "We don't know yet," Laura said, "but I believe they were left here for a reason." At the same time, another ship was waking up in the Sahara Desert. This one was buried under sand and rock. A team in Africa had found it by accident. Like Horizon, it started to light up and send out signals when humans touched it. A third ship rose. From the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, its walls were covered in sea life, but inside it looked the same as Horizon. It responded to human contact. It became clear that these ships were part of a group. They were not alone. There were many, and they had been sleeping for a long time. Then something strange happened. One night, the stars above Earth changed. Few satellites stopped working. Laura received a message from the Space Center. "We picked up a pulse from deep space," the message said. "It is not natural, it's a reply." The signal Horizon had sent out had reached someone. And now that someone was answering, Kyle and Laura stood in the control room. The ship had changed again. The screens showed a new warning. Unknown ship movement. Direction toward Earth. "They are coming," Laura said. Someone heard the signal. World leaders met quickly. They talked about closing the site. They talked about keeping the ships locked. But it was too late. Horizon was fully awake now. Its systems were running. Its engines were warm. It was no longer sleeping. Laura made a choice. She stood before the ship's command screen and placed her hand on it. "Show me what you are," she said. The ship responded. The floor under her moved. A round window opened to the stars above. A soft voice spoke again. "Guardian protocol active. Hostile force detected. Defense system preparing." Laura looked at Kyle. "This ship was made for war." He nodded. "And we may need it." The other ships began to wake up faster. All over the world, people reported strange lights in the sky. The planet-sized ships were rising from the Earth, floating just above the ground. They moved slowly, like they were testing their strength. Then, the sky lit up. An object appeared above the moon. It was dark, large, and silent. It did not respond to calls. It simply floated there. The world watched in fear. Horizon sent out another signal, a warning this time. The object above the moon responded. A beam of red light flashed from its center. Laura turned to the crew. "Prepare the ship. We're going into the sky." For the first time in history, a human stepped into the command seat of a planet-sized warship. Laura gave the order, "Rise," and Horizon obeyed. It lifted from the ice, leaving the Earth behind. The sky shook. The warship climbed into space, quiet and strong. Behind it, the other ships followed. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was now a force. The galaxy had heard the signal, and now it would see what humanity had found. The warships were ready. The people were not. But they had no choice. Something had awakened, and there was no going back. The warship Horizon floated above Earth. Its large shape covered part of the sky like a silent giant. Inside the ship, lights blinked, screens glowed, and every system was active. Laura Bennett stood at the command center, her hands resting on the edge of the control table. She looked calm, but inside she felt a heavy weight. Beside her, Kyle Grant watched the readings. "The unknown object is still near the moon," he said. "It hasn't moved, but it's scanning us." Laura nodded. "Let it scan. It will learn we're not weak." More warships had risen from Earth. One came from the ocean, another from a mountain, and a third from under the desert. Each one was large, shaped like a small moon. They took their positions near Horizon, forming a wall in space. The ships had no crews before now. They had people. Trained pilots, engineers, and soldiers moved through the halls, learning how to live inside the machines. The ships learned too. Every hour, they became easier to control, like they wanted to help. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. "Movement," shouted one of the operators. "The object above the moon is launching smaller ships." On the screen, they saw the ships, black and sharp, like knives flying through space. They came fast, heading toward Earth. "There. Not here to talk," Kyle said. Laura took a deep breath. "Open a channel to the fleet." A soft beep sounded. She began to speak. "This is Laura Bennett. All ships, prepare for defense. Hold the line. We do not fire first." The warships spread out. Horizon moved to the front. Its weapons came online. Panels on the sides opened, and large cannons aimed at the stars. The crew watched in silence. The alien ships came closer. They did not answer calls. They formed a triangle and shot a beam of light at Earth. The beam hit the upper atmosphere, cutting through clouds. "They fired first," Kyle said. "Return fire." Laura said. Horizon fired one single shot. A bright blue beam shot across space. It hit the lead alien ship. The ship vanished in an instant. No explosion, no parts. Just gone. The other two ships turned and fired back. Horizon shook as it took a hit. Shields held, but power dropped. "We need to end this quickly," Kyle said. The other human ships joined. The fight. One ship, called Guardian, fired a spread of energy balls. They moved fast and spun through space. When they hit the enemy ships, the lights went out. The first wave was over. The alien ships were destroyed. The threat above the moon disappeared without a trace, but it was not the end. More signals came from deep space, large ones, hundreds. "They're sending a fleet," Kyle said. "A real one." Laura looked at the screen. "Then we hold the sky." For 2 days, Earth prepared. The world watched the stars. People were afraid, but also proud. Humanity stood together. Nations stopped fighting. Borders no longer mattered. In orbit, the warships waited. New teams arrived. Soldiers, scientists, and leaders took their place. Each ship became a city in space. On the 3rd day, the enemy fleet arrived. Dozens of ships came through the edge of the solar system. They were dark and shaped like insects. Their engines glowed red. They came in silence. Laura stood tall. "They came far to test us. We will show them we are not prey." The battle began. The alien fleet opened fire first. Red beams and spinning missiles filled space. Horizon shields flared with light. Guardian and the other ships returned fire. Bright beams, energy pulses, and strange gravity waves hit the enemy line. One alien ship broke through and headed toward Earth. Laura gave the order. A smaller Earth ship chased it. The two ships danced through space. In the end, the Earth ship hit the alien vessel with a sharp energy spike. Both ships exploded far from the planet. More ships came. It was a long fight. Hours turned into a full day. Kyle worked in the engine room, keeping power steady. Megan helped direct weapons. Laura gave orders, clear and calm. The alien ships were fast and strong, but the warships from Earth were older and wiser. They had systems that the enemy could not match. One by one, the enemy ships fell at the end. Only 4 alien ships remained. They turned and ran. The warships did not follow. The message was clear. Earth would not fall. Silence returned to space. The stars looked the same, but nothing was the same anymore. Kyle joined Laura on the command deck. "We did it." Laura looked at the screen. This was just the start. On Earth, people cheered, they cried, they celebrated. But in the warships, the crew stayed ready. The ships began to talk more. The system started showing new maps, new messages. It was like they had passed a test. One message appeared on the screen. Phase 2 unlocked. Laura read the new data. It showed other places in the galaxy. It showed strange symbols and ancient names. It showed warnings. Kyle asked, "What does it mean?" Laura looked at the stars. "It means the galaxy knows we are here now, and it will come for us." The warships stayed in orbit, watching, waiting. Earth had shown its strength, but the real question was just beginning. Who made the ships? Why were they left on Earth? And who else was still out there? The sky had burned, and humanity had stood tall. The galaxy would never forget it. The warships stayed in space like silent guards. Earth below was safe for now. But in the minds of those on board, peace was not real. Everyone knew the enemy would return. The question was not if, but when. Inside Horizon, Laura Bennett stood before the main screen. The screen showed a map of the galaxy. Many stars were marked. Some were green, others were red. A few blinked with yellow light. "The ship is showing us new places," Kyle said beside her. "Places we have never seen, and places we are supposed to go," Laura replied. The ships had started to unlock new parts of their systems. They showed ancient routes through space. They showed hidden stations on other moons and planets. They also showed warnings. The alien fleet that attacked Earth was not the only one. It was only part of something bigger. The ship called them the Ithari Covenant, a large group of many species ruled by one power. They did not want peace, they wanted control. They thought Earth was weak, Megan said. Now they know the truth. And now they will come with more, Laura said. A call came from Guardian, the ship that once rested beneath the ocean. Captain Reed spoke on the screen. "We found something in our data," he said. "A station. It was once used by the builders of these ships. It's on one of Jupiter's moons. We think it's still active." Laura looked at Kyle. "We need to go. We need answers." The fleet made a plan. Horizon would lead. 2 other warships would follow. They would go to the moon called Callisto. The rest would stay and guard Earth. The journey began. The ships moved slowly but with purpose. Space was quiet, but the crew stayed alert. They had learned not to trust silence. When they reached Callisto, they found something strange. The moon had a large crater. Inside it was a building, half buried. In ice, the building looked old but not broken. Laura, Kyle, and a team flew down in a smaller ship. They landed near the building. The ice around it melted as they got close. The building came to life. Lights turned on. A door opened. Inside, it was dark and cold, but the walls glowed as they walked. They saw symbols like the ones inside Horizon. The air felt heavy, like it held memories. They found a room with a large table in the middle. When Laura touched it, the table lit up. A picture of the galaxy appeared. "This is a command post," Kyle said. "Or maybe a warning post," Megan said. The table showed battles long ago. The Ithari had fought others. Planets were destroyed. Whole systems lost. But the builders of the warships had stopped them. The ships were not only for war, they were for balance. "These ships were left on Earth for a reason," Laura said. "We were meant to find them, meant to protect." Then the table showed something new. A signal, a strong one. It came from deep space, far beyond the known parts of the galaxy. "This is where the Ithari leaders are," Kyle said. "Or worse," Laura replied. something even older. They returned to Horizon with the data. The ship understood the new information. It began to make changes. Its walls shifted. New rooms opened. New weapons came online. Back near Earth, more ships arrived. Not enemies this time. Other alien races. Small ships, old ships, damaged ships. They came slowly, with care. A message came from one of them. The voice was strange, but clear. We saw your battle. We saw your strength. We asked to speak. Laura met with the alien leaders through a secure channel. They were afraid of the Etheri. They had run from them for years. You are not like the others. One alien said, you fought back, and you won. More ships followed. Some offered help. Others asked for safety. Earth became a light in the dark. But there were also warnings. The Etheri will not forget, one alien said. They will send their full army next time. Laura stood before Earth's leaders. We can wait, or we can move. We have the ships. We have the maps. We must take the fight away from Earth. The leaders agreed. A new plan began. A mission to strike. First, to hit a Yathari base far from Earth. Not to destroy, but to send a message. The fleet prepared. People trained. Engineers worked day and night. The ships were ready. On the day of launch, Laura walked through Horizon. She spoke to the crew. You did not ask for this. You did not look for war. But here we are. Not as nations, but as one people. This ship is not just a weapon. It is our voice. Let the galaxy hear it. The warships left Earth again, faster this time, stronger. They moved through space with purpose, toward a target deep in enemy space. The galaxy watched, some with hope, some with fear, but all understood. Humanity had risen, and it would not be silent again. The warships moved fast through space. Horizon led the way, followed by Guardian and 2 others. They were quiet, but everyone on board felt the same. This was no longer just a mission. It was a message to the galaxy. Laura stood at the command table. Her eyes were on the star map. The target was clear. A Etheri base built into an asteroid belt near a dead star. The place was dark, cold, and far from any help. Kyle checked the engine system. We will reach the target in 3 hours. All systems. Already, no turning back now, Megan said from the side. Laura nodded. We hit them hard, then we leave. We are not here to take their space. We are here to show them we will not hide. The crew moved with focus. Engineers checked weapons. Pilots sat ready in the launch bays. Small fighter ships waited inside the warships, ready to launch at the first sign of danger. Soon, the Ethari base appeared on the screen. It was large and built into a broken asteroid. Sharp towers rose from its surface. Small enemy ships floated around it like insects. They see us, Kyle said. They are sending a signal. A voice filled the room. It was cold and strange. You are not welcome here. Turn back or face death. Laura answered, We do not fear death. We protect our world. This is your warning. The voice laughed. Then the enemy ships began to move. Here they come, Megan said. The first wave came fast. Small enemy fighters rushed toward the human fleet. Horizon opened fire. Bright beams of light shot into space. The enemy ships exploded in bursts of red and blue dot. Guardian moved to the side and launched a group of human fighters. They flew in sharp lines, hitting the enemy from below. The space around the base became a storm of fire and light. Then the base itself fired. A large beam of red light shot from its center. It hit one of the smaller human ships. The ship shook and went dark. "We lost contact with Ranger," Kyle said. "Send help," Laura ordered. Another group of enemy ships came. They tried to circle Horizon, but the ship changed shape. Panels moved. New weapons came out. In seconds, the attackers were gone. Laura looked at the map. "We need to take out that cannon. It's too strong." A small group of fighters flew close to the base. They aimed at the center tower. The enemy hit 2 of them, but 1 made it through. The pilot fired a single missile. The tower exploded. The cannon stopped. Cheers filled the ship. But the battle was not over. More enemy ships came from the other side of the asteroid. They were bigger and faster. They hit Guardian with heavy fire. The shields dropped to half. "We need to help them," Kyle said. Laura gave the order. Horizon turned and fired a wide blast. It pushed the enemy ships back. Guardian pulled away to safety. After 2 hours, the battle began to slow. The enemy lost most of their ships. The base was damaged. Fires burned on its surface. The last group of Ithari ships turned and escaped into deep space. "They're running," Megan said. Laura stood silent. She looked at the burning base. She did not smile. She felt no joy. "We did what we came to do," she said. "Call back the fighters. Prepare for return." As the warships turned away from the base, Horizon sent out a signal. It was short, clear, and strong. "We will not be your prey. We will protect what is ours. If you come again, you will not leave." The signal went across the galaxy. It was picked up by many. Some were allies, some were enemies. All of them heard the message. The fleet returned to Earth. When they arrived, the skies were filled with people watching. The ships passed over. Cities, people cheered. They waved flags. They held hands. They knew something had changed. In space, the warships stayed close. They were part of Earth now. Guardians of a planet that once felt alone. Laura walked through Horizon. The halls felt different. Not because of damage, but because of meaning. The ship was no longer just a machine. It was home to hope. She met with the other captains. "They will come again," one said. "Yes," Laura answered. "But next time, we won't just defend. We will lead. We are no longer just part of the galaxy. We are one of its powers now." New signals came from deep space. Some asked for help. Some offered friendship. Others gave warnings. Earth had stepped into a larger world. The people were still learning, still growing, but they were not afraid. The warships had slept for ages. Now they were awake, and the galaxy trembled because of it. The story of Earth had changed. It was no longer about just one planet. It was about many. It was about strength, unity, and the future. And it was only the beginning. Asterisk, the stars looked calm, but deep space was never truly quiet. Horizon floated above Earth, strong and silent, like a mountain in the sky. Inside, Laura stood at the wide viewing window. Her eyes followed the stars, but her thoughts were far beyond them. New reports had arrived. Small Ithari scout ships were seen near the edge of the solar system. Other human colonies, far out on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, had picked up signals. The war was not over. It had only moved to new places. Kyle entered the room with a report in hand. "A listening station near Saturn found something," he said. "A message sent between Ithari bases. They are planning to gather again." Laura took the report and read it. The message spoke of a hidden world called Torvak. It was not on any of the star maps. The Athari were using it as a secret center for their next move. "We need to find this world," Laura said, "before they finish whatever they are building." The Earth Council met by video call. Leaders from every country joined. Some were worried, some were angry, but all of them listened. "The Athari will not stop," Laura said to them. "They fear what we have become, and now they want to destroy it before it grows stronger." "You are right," one leader said, "but can we stop them again?" "Not by waiting," Laura replied. "We go to Torvak, we find the truth." The vote passed. A new mission began. This time, the largest human fleet ever was prepared. 5 warships, 10 support ships, and hundreds of small fighter craft gathered in space above Earth. The people watched with hope and fear. Kyle worked day and night to make sure Horizon was ready. New upgrades had been made. Faster engines, better shields, stronger weapons. Megan led the group, training the new pilots. Most were young, brave, but new to space. "They will learn fast," Megan said. "They have to." The day of launch came. Laura gave her final message to Earth from the bridge of Horizon. "We are not just defending our home. We are making sure no one else lives in fear. If we find peace out there, we bring it back. If we find war, we face it with strength." The fleet left Earth and moved toward the place where the secret world might be. It was far, hidden in a cloud of stars. The trip took weeks, but every hour brought them closer. One night, a small ship in the fleet found something strange. A large rock floating alone in space, with symbols on it. The symbols matched the ones inside Horizon. "This is a marker," Kyle said. "A sign left by the old builders. We are going the right way." Soon they found Torvak. The planet was dark and covered in storms. It had no light from nearby stars. But deep inside its clouds, something big was moving. The Athari were there. Laura ordered the fleet to stay hidden. Small drones flew ahead and sent back images. They saw giant machines, ships being built, a strange tower that pulsed with red light. "They are building a gate," Megan said, "a way to jump across space quickly. If they finish it, they can send attacks anywhere." Laura looked at the screen. "Then we don't let them finish." The attack plan was simple. Horizon and 2 other warships would strike the gate. The rest would fight the Athari ships. Speed and power would be the key. The battle began in silence. Then everything lit up. Fighters flew through the storm clouds. The sky turned blue and red with light. Horizon fired the first blast at the tower. The beam hit, but the tower held. The enemy ships came fast. They were faster than before, stronger too. One human support ship was hit and lost. Laura stayed calm. "Stay close, protect each other." Hit the tower again. A second shot hit the tower. This time it cracked. Sparks flew. The red light flickered. The Athari sent their strongest ship. It was massive, shaped like a spinning blade. It hit Horizon hard. The ship shook. Alarms rang. "Shields down to 40%, Kyle shouted. "We can't take many more hits." Laura gave the order. "All power to main weapon. Fire again." The third shot hit the tower. It exploded. A wave of fire and light spread through the clouds. The gate was gone. The enemy ship turned to run. It knew the battle was lost. One last group of fighters chased it, but it escaped. The sky was quiet again. The storm clouds faded. The ground below was broken. The Athari machines were silent. The human fleet gathered in orbit. They had won, but they had paid a price. Ships were lost. People were hurt. Laura looked at the damage. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed sadness. "We stopped them this time," she said, "but they will return." Kyle stood beside her. "But now the galaxy knows we will fight, and we are not alone anymore." New messages came. More worlds had seen the signal. They wanted to talk. They wanted to join. Earth was not a lost world anymore. It was a leader as Horizon turned toward home. Laura looked one last time at the planet behind them. "Let them come again," she said. "We will be ready." The stars stretched ahead. The journey was not over. But Earth had taken its place in the galaxy, and it would never step back.